Hey friends, this is a tutorial on how to use Catseye. So Catseye is a web-based application, which means you can run it out of your browser. I'm in Chrome at the moment. So the first thing you need to do is to choose a folder for Catseye to save its images to. Now by default that will be your downloads folder, but if you want to redirect that to somewhere else, say you make a specific folder for Catseye images, you'll need to go into your browser settings. And here in Chrome, if you go down to the advanced settings and find the downloads folder area. Now you can see I have changed the location to be the DSDN test folder that I'm using. You can just click change and find the actual folder that you want to save your images to. So if that's changed, we can go and find the Catseye website. So at the moment, Catseye is at tinyurl.com/catseyedesign, and this web address might change by the time you watch this tutorial, so your tutor should have told you the direct web address, and double check with them if you can't find it to make sure that you are going to the right place. So when I move to Catseye, the program automatically saves the data from the last image you were playing with. So because you haven't used it before, what you should be seeing is a blank page with only the load image button in the top left corner. So you can click load image and you can find a folder that has your symbols in it. So mine is in the DSDN test folder. Where is it? Here we are. And this is a symbol that one of our past students has done. So when you select your image, just make sure that the image you're bringing in is either a PDF, I think that was a PDF. Let's just check what format I've dropped in there. DSDN test. That's a PNG. Okay, so maybe you might need to change your file formats. Maybe PNG or JPEG will be used universally, so maybe you want to export your symbols out as a JPEG as well, so you can put them into Catseye. Another thing to be aware of is that Catseye will often run slowly or not run at all if your image is too large, so just make sure that you are within the 1920 by 1280 pixel ratio that we're using for our submissions, and your images should load perfectly well. So how Catseye works is it takes this triangular selection and it repeats and rotates and reflects that in a formulated pattern template. So you can see as I click and drag one of these corners, the pattern's actually going to change based on what is in this triangular selection. You can click and drag any of these corners, and you can basically play around with this until you find something that looks really great. Keep in mind the brief for Project 2 and make sure you understand what it is that your pattern needs to communicate to the viewer. For instance, if all elements of this pattern are very important, you may want to make sure there's a piece of each element within your pattern. Or if you're really focusing on maybe one half for a few iterations, you can start looking at what it might look like if you isolate some of these elements. So just be aware of what you're creating and keep in mind that final goal for the brief. So when you've found something that's kind of interesting, you can also change the tile scaling percentage. So if you select 100%, you can actually use your arrow keys to drop this down, and you will see that the pattern changes right in front of your eyes as you are scaling down. So this way you can see what it looks like in multiple repetitions. So I'm just going to find something kind of cool. Might bring this back up to maybe 60. And when you have the pattern that you want, you will be saving the image. So if you hover over Save Image, the width and the height areas will come up, and they will be at 1000 by 1000 for the default settings. So because you're going to be submitting in this ratio, as we've talked about many times before, you will want to change your width and height to be 1920 by 1280. when you hit save, that is going to save out an image, and it's actually going to go to the folder that you changed in your settings. So it could be your downloads folder by default, or it could be the folder you've chosen. So here we are, Catseye, and this is the file name, so you can go ahead and rename that for your submission. And just to make sure, make sure you've got the right dimensions still, and you want to be submitting your PDF, so you may want to put that back into Photoshop and export it out again as a PDF for the R drive. So Catseye is really powerful, but just make sure that you are in control as always. And for other projects, maybe you want to experiment with something that's a little less abstract and just kind of see the crazy things that Catseye does to images, because it is really fun to play with. So have a go at this, and make sure that you are saving your images out in this 1920 by 1280 resolution.